Destination Nightmare, the B-Movie Podcast.
And what show do we have this week?
Today's movie is The Norliss Tapes.
The Norliss Tapes.
Starring Roy Finnis, who's been in a ton of not movies, but a ton of TV shows.
Sure, I bet.
You go to
Invaders
his page, and it's just endless streaming of various shows and TV movies, and
The Invaders is the one that I remember.
Yeah, he's in The Invaders. He's been in a couple of movies.
He was in the remake of Dark Shadows, too.
Yeah. He's been in The Fugitive, Battlestar Galactica.
Wow.
Super Train, Mod Squad Love Boat, Falcon's Crest, Hotel. He was on One Life to Live. Like, holy, this guy's like done every show.
Did he have theatrical movies or no?
A couple.
But not much, right?
No, he was in the movie I first knew him from was Journey to the Far Side of the Sun.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
It's supposedly an alternate backwards Earth on the other side of the sun.
You mean more backwards than this Earth we live in? Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, on their planet, Joe Biden's a good president.
I'll tell you later. I can't talk about this on camera, but I'll tell you what a website that I found yesterday, and you'll laugh your butt off about. This website is an example of how everything is screwed up. But at any rate, yeah. Yeah, it was Journey to the Far Side of the Sun. Maybe we should watch it one of these days. I've heard of it. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure if I watched it or not, but I remember hearing about the movie, and I remember seeing the DVD on the stores or whatever. I don't know if maybe I bought it. I don't even know.
It's a British.
Is it? That's what I'm thinking. It's a British, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, it's a British film. Well, by Jerry and Sylvia Anderson, the guys.
Oh, the puppet people.
Yeah, the puppet people. The Thunderbirds.
Not the Attack of the Puppet People, but the Thunderbirds.
Yeah, Thunderbirds and.
Space 1999 also.
Yeah.
Well, they actually got humans to look like and act like puppets, which was amazing. Or at least wooden.
Wooden.
But, anyway, I like those shows in small doses. I remember when I was a kid in New York, I saw Supercar, and I remember liking Supercar.
Supercar was good.
Even though you could see the strings everywhere, but,
Yeah, I have a little Matchbox or Hot Wheels or whatever Supercar.
Oh, that is really cool.
Somewhere in mine. Yeah, I have a whole bunch of them because from the TV shows. I have the Partridge Family Bus. I have the Yellow Submarine.
Oh, wow. Lucky you, man.
Yeah. I have Dickinson's car. That's pretty.
I could never find. I know they put out Beetle cars as Hot Wheels. I never was able to find any of them. Or the Yellow Submarine, for that matter.
Yeah, they're hard. You have to almost catch them by accident.
Did you buy them at the store, or did you buy them from eBay?
I usually buy them from eBay or Amazon.
Okay.
Like Partridge Family Bus, I bought on Amazon. Amazon. The Jetsons, I just happened along. I was somewhere in like a drugstore or whatever. Every once in a while, they get like a really cool car. I'm like, oh, I gotta get this.
The only thing I ever find in Hot Wheels in stores is Batmobiles.
Yeah, they're
I have a gray one, a black one, but I don't find any other. Well, I shouldn't say that. They also have another series which are more expensive, but I never really, But I would like to get some of those. I didn't know they had them on Amazon, probably for overpriced.
That or eBay. It's another place you can sometimes.
eBay.
Sometimes they ask for like, $50 or $30. I'm like, it's a little toy car. You're nuts.
Yeah, because it's like when you go to the store, it's never there. They had Led Zeppelin cars; they were gone. It's like I'm sure, they're guys that are in the know, and they have guys that work there, and that they see when they put it aside for them, and
Well, I remember when they used to have Toys R Us. There were guys who would purposely go to work there in the storeroom so that when stuff would come in, take all the stuff and buy it for themselves and then resell it.
Wow.
So like, you son of a...
You know, I used to work for the original Toys R Us.
Oh, really?
Down here they called it Lionel Play World. Up there, I think they called it Kitty City or something like that.
Okay.
I used to work for it. Man, that was an insane job. It was kind of chill, but as soon as like Thanksgiving hit, from Thanksgiving through January 1st, it was
Nuts.
It was hell on earth. It wasn't Christmas, it was hell on earth.
Yeah.
It was like total destruction and, you know, trucks coming in all the time and having to work overtime and people like getting called on your day off and people like getting angry and, oh, God, it was horrible.
Yeah.
I did it for 5 years, you know, it's more than enough.
Yeah.
But at any rate, yeah.
Remember the various crazes they used to have, like Cabbage Patch Kids?
Oh, I got a story about that.
Tickle Me Elmo and all that other stupid shit.
I got a Cabbage Patch Kid story. It's a pretty funny one. They came out, right? And then, like, they ran out real quick. So we gave people rain checks.
Right.
They come in. Well, you come in and get it. Boom, done. So we get a shipment in. They come in. And as soon as people saw them, nobody wanted them. Want to know why?
Why? Well, they were black.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Oh, man.
Uh-huh. That's exactly right. You nailed it. Yeah. People were like, I'm like, well, it's your Cabbage Patch Kid. I mean, give it a home, you know.
Exactly.
Whatever, you know.
God.
Whatever.
Pretty funny, man.
You know, this was like in the 80s, so, yeah, whatever. But anyway, yeah, I remember I went there like, there was Garbage Pail Kids too, right? These like cards that were like Cabbage Patch Kids that were all disgusting and stuff like that.
And they had like goofy, disgusting names and...
Yeah, I remember that too, yeah. Garbage Pail Kids, yeah. And all that wacky packages and all those goofy things that the Tops made back then or whatever, but anyway.
I used to, when I was up in Scranton, I used to live down the block from a Tops factory.
Really?
Yeah, and every once in a while you would step out and you would smell that bubblegum smell in the air.
Oh crap, wow.
Oh.
Well, that's like if you, I don't know about now, but back in the old days, if you went into Hershey, Pennsylvania, kind of smelled like chocolate, supposedly.
Yeah. Same thing, and when I moved to Elizabethtown, there's a Mars Dove Bar factory there.
Really?
Every once in a while, you walk out and you're like, I smell chocolate. Jeez.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. But anyway, back to our movie. I like this movie. I think it's pretty cool, but man, can you it's Dan Curtis, obviously. Can you it's so similar to the Night Stalker.
Yeah, I think this one came first.
No, it didn't. No, it came right after the Night Strangler. It wasn't first. No.
No.
Night Stalker was the first one, and then they put out the Night Strangler, and then in '73 they cranked this one out, and it has a similar. I mean, it's not the same, obviously, but it has a lot of similarities in it, in the fact that, you know, he's kind of like, he's not a reporter, but he's a writer.
Right.
And he's investigating the supernatural, and he's got some police guy that doesn't believe him, as opposed to Kolchak, who had his boss, the newspaper guy, not believing him, and they wanted to keep it quiet because they didn't want the town to go crazy, and it's some guy, and even the guy in this movie looked a little bit like the Night Stalker, but besides that, it's a fun movie.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, that's right. Both Night Stalker and Night Strangler came out before Norliss Tapes.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Was Norliss Tapes made for ABC or NBC? Because the other two were made for... Right, there you go. The other two were ABC.
Yeah.
So I guess NBC wanted their, you know...
ABC Movie of the Week. They all three of them were done sort of as a pilot for a TV show, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, the Night Stalker became a TV show for like 20 episodes before they Darren McGavin didn't want to do it anymore or something, you know. And this didn't get to any episodic, which is sad because it's an interesting premise. The fact that the guy finds the cassette tapes and then the story begins or whatever, you know. So
yeah, it's a pretty good premise. In fact, a lot of those ABC and NBC movies of the week were done as pilots or episodes.
And some of them did become.
Yeah.
I mean, off the top of my head, you can't think of one right now, but I know a lot of them did, or some of them did anyway.
Yeah.
You know?
Alias Smith and Jones became a TV show.
Was that a movie of the week? Okay, I didn't know.
Yeah, that was a movie of the week. I think.
The Night Stalker we talked about. You know.
Yeah, the Night Stalker became one.
I'm trying to think. I can't remember, but I'm sure they were. But they also would do. Before they had the movie of the week, they also would do pilots every once in a while, you know, like, I'm thinking of stuff like McCloud or Columbo or, you know, things like that to test it out, you know, before, you know, or even weirder when every once in a while, I can't think of, again, I'm drawing a blank because you mentioned something that I remember, but I can't specify. I remember every once in a while you'd watch a sitcom and one episode would be introducing a new character.
Yeah.
And the story would be about that new character. And that was technically a pilot for, well, there you go, a Rhoda spinoff from Mary Tyler Moore. But that's different. That was a spinoff. So it was Phyllis was a spinoff. That's different between a pilot. A pilot is something made specifically.
Mork and Mindy was a spinoff from
Happy Days.
Happy Days. And there was another one, too. Oh, Laverne and Shirley.
That was a spin-off from Happy Days, too, yeah. Joni Loves Chachi.
Yeah. Oh, God. The Immortal was an ABC movie of the week that turned into...
was it Search?
No, The Immortal. That's when Christopher George has something in his blood that renders him immortal.
What TV series did that become?
It's The Immortal. That's the name of the TV show.
I never saw it.
Yeah, it was on for like one season, and...
I never saw that one.
Billionaires chasing after him to get his blood.
I remember Christopher George in the Rat Patrol.
Yeah, he was in the Rat Patrol, too.
I don't remember The Immortal. I got to check that out. It's probably not available because it's only one season, but you never know. Well, there was one. Yeah, there was one. I'm not sure if the movie was called Search, but it turned into a show called Probe or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
That one I do remember. Oh, there's so many of them, but they're just not popping in my brain now because I'm thinking of more of, the Norliss Tapes or whatever. But, I mean, a lot of the TV movies for ABC were like pretty much just, standalone movies, you know what I mean? They would have, Night Stalker was a standalone movie, but they did so good that the guy, Dan Curtis, decided, well, let's come up with another story and give it a similar,
similar premise.
Strangler, Night this, Night that, whatever. So, both were good movies. So is this.
Yeah.
Dan Curtis also did those movies. They had something called ABC Late Night Movie. They would do like made on video movies. They did like Dorian Gray and Turn of the Screw, or they were like two-day of Frankenstein. They were like 2-day events or something like that.
Yeah, he did Bram Stoker's Dracula, Turn of the Screw.
Is that with Jack Palance, the Dracula?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah, Jack Palance.
Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde.
Terror.
Which one?
The Trilogy of Terror with Karen Black.
Yeah, that was a TV movie. Yeah, they did the Palance Dracula. They also did a Frankenstein adaptation, Turn of the Screw, and they did, what was the other one? They did another one, too. Oh, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. And I think Jack Palance was in that, too.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I remember that they would show them during the week, and I don't know if they were during the summer or not, but if they were in the middle of the week, I couldn't stay up and watch them because I had to go to school.
Yeah.
And on Fridays, they would have In Concert, which I could watch because I didn't have to go to school on Saturday. So, yeah. So anyway, the Norliss Tapes. Oh boy. Well, like I said, Roy Thinnes is a writer, and he's disappeared, right? So
the movie, it starts out with him acting all subdued and weird and stuff, and his publisher calls him, or he calls his publisher and says, "I got to see you." And, I haven't written the book yet. It's, all the stuff's on tapes. And the guy's like, "Wait a minute, you've been doing this for over a year. What's going on?" He says, "Oh, I got to meet you." And so they set up a lunch date for the next day, and he doesn't show up. So then a week goes by, and no one's seen him or heard from him. So his publisher, who is Dan Porter, who played the father on the TV show Gidget, he goes looking for him, and he finds the Roy Thinnis's apartment empty, and then he finds these cassette tapes. So he puts one in, and then he hears Roy Thinnis narrating the story of then the movie starts, and then
it starts with Angie Dickinson, right?
Yeah. So she wakes up. Well, her dog is barking, so she's in this big empty house. Her German Shepherd's barking. So she goes, "What is it? What is it?" So she goes down. She's in her nightgown. She goes down, and with the dog, she goes outside. This is like, why would you go outside?
With the shotgun, right?
With the shotgun. But still, why would you go outside if there's somebody out there?
To shoot him. Anyway.
So then
she called the cops. The
dog takes her to her dead husband's art studio. He's a sculptor. And
he's a crippled sculptor, right?
Yeah. Apparently he has a crippled disease, and you don't find that out yet. So he goes in there, and she's looking around, and suddenly you see this blue purple guy with yellow eyes going, "Arr!"
Who looks like the Night Stalker.
Yes. So she screams. The dog jumps at him. He kills the dog, and she shoots him with a shotgun, and then flees and runs away. So
then Roy Thinnis comes into the picture.
Yes, Roy Thinnis comes into the picture. Apparently he knows her sister, so she asks him to go up and help her. Angie Dickinson calls him and says, "Can you come up and help me solve this thing? Because, my husband attacked me, but he's been dead. And we buried him and stuff." And then that's when you find out that he's been involved in when he got his crippling disease, he had his studio boarded up, and then he started to get into the occult, and he went to some lady and got some weird scarab ring, and
that was the Vanetta McGee, right? The black woman, who was in a lot of blaxploitation movies, and she was awesome.
Yeah. So he's
got funny cornrows in this one, though.
Yeah, weird. It almost looks like she's wearing
like a rooster.
Yeah, it's a little tail in the back with it.
Yeah.
It's to look weird or
like
whatever.
voodoo, some voodoo thing,
Yeah. So she gave him this scarab ring, and he made a pact with some ancient Egyptian.
Oh God, yeah, they gave it a name too, and I can't think. Osiris or Osiris.
Yeah, the scarab is related to Osiris.
Osiris. Yeah.
The demon he's resurrecting is Sargoth, which I'm I never heard of, but okay.
Yeah.
So then this young girl, she's getting in her car and she's driving away. She's a manager of a store. And then suddenly the purple guy jumps up from behind her in the car and strangles her. And then she crashes. And then a truck driver comes along and he finds the body. And then you see all the cop cars there, and they're looking at the body.
And Claude Akins is involved in all that.
Yeah,
he's a sheriff.
Comes in. Typical.
It's Carmel, California.
Yes, and he's looking at the body and is like, "Oh, don't tell anybody."
It seems to rain a lot in Carmel. I don't remember there much rain in California, but maybe that's Northern California and it rains more.
San Francisco is near the middle or a little up higher. So I think it has a lot of rain.
Okay, so this Carmel's near San Francisco. Okay, all right.
Yeah,
Right.
I think anyway. And so it's the body. He's playing golf with the coroner, and the coroner's saying, "Yeah, the body was all drained of blood."
Yeah, because they won't show you the body in the car. You just see the guy's look on his face, and he's like, "Oh my God," and you're like, "Oh, what the hell happened there?" Didn't have to describe it for you.
Yeah,
Now they would show you in graphic.
Didn't show you, but she was all like pale and
drained of blood, right?
Drained of blood. It's like he said something like she looked like an empty sack or something like that.
Great.
So then Norliss comes in, and he comes in to talk to the sheriff, and the sheriff is like, getting all sort of cagey and not saying anything. Well, it's if you want to find out what happened to the girl who died in the car crash, you read in the paper, and Norliss like keeps pushing him. So finally, Simon
Claude Akins. Simon Oakland and Claude Akins are similar.
I'm thinking of Call Chat. So Claude Akins is like, look, just back off and let me do the investigation of this. So then Norliss and Angie Dickinson, they visit the crypt that her husband's in.
Yeah, because the crypt is in. Didn't they say that there was some? They found like an architecture. Or was that later? Anyway, they found an architecture.
That's later you find out, but but
the crypt was near where his art studio was, right, or something like.
Yeah, because apparently it's a like a mansion, and there's a lot of land.
Yeah.
And there's a crypt on it, and there's the art studio is also on the same place. So they pull the coffin back, and they find
his body there.
Yeah, her husband James in there, and he's all blue looking, and he's got the big scarab on his finger.
But he's not deteriorated or whatever.
So then Norliss goes to San Francisco to meet the gallery owner. That
I've heard Hatfield, by the way, the gallery owner, the original Dorian Gray.
Yeah, Dorian Gray. So he's because he was interested in buying the ring from
Dickinson's husband,
James, the husband, and he also introduced James to Vanetta, who gave the ring to James. And he's apparently interested in the occult, and he wants to the scarab. I think that's the way you find out about Osiris. The scarab is.
The scarab is the ring gives you immortality or something, right? Supposedly.
And the scarab is related to Osiris, which is the cult of immortality. Blah 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 blah. So then Norliss tells Hurd Hatfield that James was buried with the ring. So he's like, oh. So then you see Langdon. He goes on. He gets onto the land, and he goes to the crypt, and he goes to steal the ring. And he goes and he finds the coffin empty. And as he turns around, you see this dark, shadowy figure grab him, and then the screen blacks out.
Not to get ahead of myself, but we'll get to it when we get there. But just for foreshadowing for you, there's a scene at the end of this movie that reminds me of some of the past few movies that we've watched. When we get there, we'll talk about it. You know what I'm talking about, right? It's like saving stuff. I'll tell you when we get there.
When we get to it,
it's a theme that was in Beast from the Haunted Cave. And it's a theme that was in Attack of the Giant Leeches.
Okay.
Anyway.
I'm not sure what you're talking about, but...
Yeah.
All right, so then the Vanetta goes to Norliss to say, you got to stay away from... Norliss goes to Vanetta's shop and asks her about James and the ring and stuff. And she says, you better stay away from Ellen and from the estate and just stay away from everything from there. So then, Norliss and Roy Finnis and Angie Dickinson go to look at the studio, and they're examining things, and they're looking at some of his sculptures. And she finds this large statue of clay that's being sculpted, and it
looks like the devil.
It wasn't there a couple of days before.
Right.
So he takes a sample of the clay, and then suddenly you see the dead guy, James, and he attacks them, and Roy Finnis shoots at him with a gun.
That was a good scene. That was a good scene. And they get in the car, and they can't get out, and they of course, when you start the car won't turn on, and the dead husband is breaking in, and he's ripping the car door open, and they get out, and then he turns around to run him over. That was a good scene.
Yeah, all that action. So then they go to the police chief, and they go to the say, look, we were attacked by James. He's still alive. He's like, no, he's dead. So they all go back to the crypt with the sheriff, and the sheriff sees the empty coffin. He goes, well, there's a look-alike of the husband running around, and someone stole the body for whatever purpose we don't know. So, everybody stay out of it. So in the meantime, Michelle Carey, who's Angie Dickinson's sister in the show.
Oh, that's what she was. Yeah, because Michelle Carey was in a lot of 60s and 70s and 80s TV. She was in Elvis movies too.
Yeah. So she's looking for her sister. She doesn't find anybody there, so then she goes to a motel.
Oh my God, that was so annoying. Those two people in the motel.
Yeah.
Mom and Pop. You can't let her stay. Oh, Mom, please. And I'm like, really?
Yeah. So she's...
Who wrote this?
Because it's after hours, so Michelle is there. Michelle's very pretty, and she's there, and she's like, oh, it's cold out. Can't you let me in? So
it was raining, too. It was like pouring.
Yeah. She's like, no, go away. We're closed. So then the old lady manager tells the husband, says, you go tell her she can't stay. So he goes, and he goes out, and he goes, oh, well, of course she can stay. And he gives her the best room in the place. So then Michelle, she goes in, she turns on.
He gives her the best room for $10 a night.
Yeah, $10. Whoa. Man, that's California, too.
Yeah, right. Oh, sure. Nowadays.
A couple of hundred. So she's getting ready to go to bed, and she gets a weird feeling, and she goes towards the window and pulls the curtain aside, and then you see the dead husband, and he's looking at her, so he jumps through the window and strangles her, and then the manager's coming in, and he's like, hey, what's going on? And he opens the door, and he sees
it freezes, right? It freezes.
Yeah, it freezes.
You don't know.
So then it's, then the sheriff's there, and he's talking to the managers, and he's like, what did he look like? I don't know. He was big. It was dark. He was wearing dark clothes, and he just carried the girl off into the woods. And then the sheriff says, well, don't say anything about this. And the guy goes, but I'm not worried about that. I'm worried about what if he comes back, And it's like, I think some of these were commercial breaks.
Sure, of course they were. The Fade to Black, of course they were, yeah.
So then Norliss is doing research, and he finds out there's tunnels underneath the estate.
Yeah, the architecture. He's looking at the architecture.
Yeah.
And he finds the paperwork, and he notices, that. Yeah.
And she's like, and Angie Dickinson's like, why the hell would they build tunnels? He's like, well, 1920s.
Prohibition, right, or something?
Yeah, Prohibition, running, legal liquor there. So then he also gets lab results about the clay, and he finds out that it's 40% human blood. She's like, ugh. And then you see him doing some weird alchemical things, and he's, pouring. It's supposed to be blood, but it's
tomato sauce.
And then you see Angie Dickinson. She's in the hotel because she had after the attack, she had moved into the local hotel. So she's at the hotel. She turns around, and there's Vanetta. She's saying, look, we gotta he made a pact with some evil god, Sargoth, for immortality and to heal his broken body. So we got to get the scarab ring off his finger.
She gave it to him, correct?
Yeah, she had given it to him originally, and she's like, I was possessed by evil forces, and, I was able to break free, and we got to get the ring off his finger. So they go back, and they start searching the tunnels. And in the meantime, Royce and his...
Angie and Vanetta start searching the tunnels.
Angie Dickinson.
Dennis is in a different,
searching the tunnels. And in the meantime, Roy Dennis, who's staying at the hotel, he's coming out, and the hotel clerk gives him a message. And it's like, when did... He reads the message that Vanetta and Dickinson left for the tunnels. So he goes, when did they leave? About 15 minutes ago. And how soon does it get dark? About half hour. So you see him driving.
He's driving his orange
behind
Corvette.
A car, and he's beeping the horn. And so in the meantime,
it's his sweet 1973 orange Corvette, which
yes.
I used to have a Hot Wheels of.
Oh, nice.
Ooh. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of Hot Wheels.
Not the Norliss Tapes, but just the 1973.
Yeah. I had a gold one.
Yeah.
Chipped off after.
Sure.
Flyer,
So anyway, he's calling ass to get to him.
Angie Dickinson and Vanetta, they're in the tunnels underneath, and they're searching, and then they split up, and then Vanetta finds this big wooden box, and she opens it, and there's the dead husband lying there, and she calls to Angie Dickinson, I found him, we got to get the ring off. So they're trying to pull the ring off, so then the dead husband opens his eyes, wakes up, and he grabs Vanetta and bites her in the neck, and he grabs at Angie Dickinson. She knocks his hands off, and starts running, and then she gets kind of trapped, and then the monster, he kills Vanetta, and then he starts going towards her, and for some reason he doesn't attack her, and he gets weird. He's sort of walking towards her and making these weird
noises, right?
Like a whipped puppy or something.
Well, what I was going to say, in that scene there in the tunnel, all the bodies were there, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know if he was draining them out of more blood or anything like that, but it sure reminded me of the giant leeches. And
yes. Yeah, and the other
that's what I was getting at.
Yeah.
And Beast from the Haunted Cave, yeah.
Yeah.
Where he kept bodies in the cave or wherever, and he would drain them. I imagine he was draining them, or either that or he was hiding them because they were dead. I don't know.
Oh, yeah, I don't know if he was worried about hiding them. He probably just kept them there to drain them of more blood for the clay or something.
Yeah.
So, so Angie Dickinson, she's running away. She stumbles and falls on the dead bodies of the Hurt Hatfield,
the victim,
Michelle Carey. She's screaming. Then Roy Dennis bumps into her, and they go, "Come on, we got to escape." So they go out of the tunnels, and then they go into the art studio, and then they see the statue. It's almost finished. The statue, because what the husband's doing is building a clay statue
of some demonic god or whatever,
so that the god Sargoth can inhabit a physical form on Earth and do whatever.
He would become Sargoth or whatever.
Yeah. So she wants to destroy it and says, we have to let him finish it because there's a way to destroy it. I've been reading alchemy, blah, 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 blah. So.
Well, yeah, he said basically I've been reading alchemy, and if you pour blood in a circle within the frame and you light it on fire, the demon or whatever can't escape. It.
So they pour the blood around. And then
the husband comes in.
Yeah, and then James comes out of a secret passage from the tunnels to the art studio, and he finishes the sculpture, puts in the eyes and whatever, and then you see him. He
starts making noises and going.
Instead of speaking a spell, he's like.
Yeah, right.
So then lightning and thunder and wind. So then the demon comes alive, and at that moment, Roy Dennis lights the blood on fire, which I didn't know blood was flammable. But
I didn't either, but hey.
So it circles him, and then the demon starts freaking out, and he picks up the dead husband and like crushes him and breaks him and stuff, and then he's fighting them, and they Roy Sinnis and Angie Dickinson run out, and the monster's trying to grab him, but he can't go through the fire. And then suddenly the whole art studio's engulfed in flames. And then you see the cops show up, and they're trying to put the fire out and stuff. And then you hear it switches back to Don Porter, the publisher, listening to the tape, and then you hear Norliss on the tape say that they found the skeleton of James, the husband, in the fire, and they didn't find any remnants of the demon Sargoth. And then so it tape ends. So then Don Porter gets up and he puts in another tape. And he goes, I wonder if this will explain where Roy Sinnis disappeared to. And then he hits the button to play, and then you hear Roy Sinnis, give a date and start telling another story. And then, it's the end.
That was going to be the premise of the show. Every week they would plug new cassette in.
Yeah, every week he'd be listening to a tape to find out, like, the next story. Because these tapes are chapters in the book that Roy Sinnis is writing, originally to debunk the supernatural.
Right.
But he actually found out proof of the supernatural. So
now that demonic name, Sargoth or whatever, wasn't that in like Robert E. Howard stories or Lovecraft story, or maybe it was Conan stories. I remember like a Sogoth or something like that kind of.
Probably. There's a Shoggoths in Lovecraft, which are these sort of weird protoplasmic things, and that they can form eyes and mouths and hands and stuff.
Maybe that's it. I don't know, but I just remember that name in literature.
Yeah, it sounds creepy and ancient and
it's got the word goth in it, and whole 9 yards or whatever. So fun movie. I mean, kind of tame for today's crowd, but exciting at times. Yeah. I was talking to a friend of mine. He said that when he was a kid, he started watching it and he got bored. And I said, you should have kind of stayed with it a little bit, because it may start out slow, but it picks up, and it is very Night Stalker-ish. That would be the only criticism I would have, but maybe that's what NBC wanted. So
it was a little more talky than you would normally expect, and a couple of jump scares.
Yeah.
But that's what movies were like back then, things took a little bit more time to get evolved and get going, and I mean, now today everything happens 1, 2, 3, 4, action right away. In fact, a lot of times they start the movie with an explosion or
right.
Watch all the James Bond movies. It's all like action right away, and he's running around, jumping over buildings and grabbing on the helicopter.
Oh yeah, I know, it's ridiculous. All those John Wick movies or whatever,
Yeah, same thing. Or even like the Marvel, any of those Marvel Universe movies or DC, it's action right away. Bam! So, yes, and you watch some of these older movies, the pace was much slower.
Oh, yeah.
Getting the story going. And again, it's for TV, so they're kind of limited to what they can show back.
Can get away with and show, and I mean, the Night Stalker pushed the envelope a bit, with the blood draining and it was pretty strong stuff for. I remember being a kid and watching it, and the next day talking about it in school. So it was it was pretty strong, but nowhere near what. I mean, cop shows today show like all this crap, so more, So it's like. I don't watch them, but I've been told, So.
And the thing with the cop shows is when they show like really weird, bad criminals, those are people, and real life people people monsters are far more scary than any demon or ghost or anything.
I think so. Yeah, I think so. Even though they're pretty scary, the monster's pretty scary in this or whatever. But it was good. It was real good.
Yeah.
I mean. And it was only 71 minutes, so even better. They didn't pad it with. Even then, it was still a little talky, but I imagine it was a little talky because it was a TV movie instead of an episode.
Right.
If it was an episode, they probably could have cut 10 minutes out of it easily, or 12 minutes, or whatever. So.
Yeah, no problem. They could have cut the whole Michelle Carey storyline out.
Yes.
But just have her as a victim. Rather than, her sister, because there was a scene with Roy, because Roy Thinnes knew the sister first, and then met Angie Dickinson through Michelle Carey. They could have cut all that out, and there was a couple of scenes, a couple of minutes here, a couple of minutes there, and make it an hour-long movie episode for a TV show.
Yeah. It would have been a good show, I think, but for some reason NBC decided not to take it on. Maybe it's because was it on at the same? I'm not sure if this was on at the same time as the Night Stalker TV show, but I know the Night Stalker TV show didn't last long. But I think part of it was because Darren McGavin got tired of doing a Monster of the Week thing or whatever. I don't know. I don't know why they didn't do it, but they didn't do it. So And 73 was still kind of like
the rating.
It wasn't the end of the classic horror, period, but it was getting close to the end of it,
Yeah, the Night Stalker was 1974.
It was after?
Yeah, it was after.
I mean, Norliss Tapes?
Night
Stalker.
The original Night Stalker movie was 72.
Yeah, that's what I thought, not 74. Yeah,
the Night Stalker, the Night Strangler was 73.
And this was 73.
That's when it went into production.
Yeah.
And also,
the TV show.
Unfortunately, at that time, Kojak came on television, and so some people would confuse the two names.
Oh yeah, Kolchak and Kojak. Yeah, right.
Yeah. So.
Plus, I mean, maybe by that point it changed a little bit. I seem to remember, like in the early 70s or late 60s, Mothers Against Violence or whatever.
Yeah.
We're taking shows down. So I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, that's true.
But then again, the Night Stalker, if Darren McGavin would have agreed, I think it would have kept going. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just as well that they only did 20 episodes because it's fine with me. They're fun to watch, and it's not like a million hours. And they were getting kind of silly after a while anyway. So
yeah. Some of them were good. Some of them were kind of goofy. I remember the one with the headless motorcycle.
Yeah, that one.
That one kind of stunk.
Yeah, they still play them on MeTV every Saturday nights at 1 in the morning or something like that. But they play crappy prints of them. It's like, where are you playing like old 16 millimeter TV prints? Don't you have nice, upgraded, versions of this? I don't know. I don't know what the deal is. It's weird. I mean, it's weird. It's like every once in a while I watch a TV show on one of these channels, and the prints will be nice, and then all of a sudden it's like you'll see one and it'll be like, wow, this looks like a old, blurry, not 60 millimeter, kind of like not, kind of whatever, funky print. What the hell happened? Who knows? They lost it or.
Yeah. Yeah, sometimes it happens with like some episodes of the Twilight Zone. They only.
Yeah. Some of the Twilight Zones were shot on video too.
Yeah, they used to do it on air it for the East Coast, and then do a Cinescope or whatever, where they sort of film a TV show, They take a television camera, and it's like almost like videotaping it with a television camera. I forget what they call it. So the quality is a lot different. What the hell do they call that? Kinescope or?
No. Well, I don't know. Here's a question for you, which I don't know if you have the answer to. Why is it that in all the British shows from the 70s, the indoor scenes were shot on video, but the outdoors were shot on film? Do you know the answer to that?
No.
It's a weird one. It's got to be something about cost, maybe, or something like that, But if you watch Monty Python or Benny Hill or some of these other shows, like the interior scenes, the studio scenes are shot on video. Maybe it's the studio, maybe BBC studio. They all shot them in a certain studio. And then when they went out on location, they just took film. I don't know.
Maybe the video technology or the cameras that didn't have a lot of video cameras.
I don't know. It's a weird one, but
could be the type of lighting that was needed for.
Maybe it was just a strange one.
Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah, because you see the change in quality.
I'm going to look it up after we're done and talk about it next time, because it's like, I don't know if Doctor Who did it, because I didn't watch a lot of Doctor Who, but, and I know shows like The Saint and some of those didn't do it, but there was a point where I think they started doing it, and it was like, oh, okay, I don't get it, I don't get it.
And maybe the film cameras were too big to move around.
Maybe. Who knows?
And but they did film in houses early, like all the Hammer movies. They were on film.
Of course. No. I'm saying this is television. This is some BBC thing that they did. I don't know why they did it. I'm gonna have to look it up. Again, it's not every show. Some shows are shot entirely on film. Like The Avengers was always, at least the ones that I remember, was always on film. There was never any video interior settings or whatever. Maybe it was the comedies, or maybe it was the comedies and the dramas or whatever. I don't know. It was just a strange one. But at any rate, yeah. I mean, I don't think they did that in the U.S. I don't think I can think of it. Whenever they did a shot on video show, it was always on video. Like even the Norman Lear stuff was always on video.
Yeah.
There was never any film to that.
Well, I don't think ever did any like location shooting on
All in the Family?
No. Usually it was done on sets.
They were done on sets, yeah, for the most part, different sets.
Yeah.
I don't remember episodes with them walking outside, but they could have. I'm not an expert on that show, so.
Yes. Yeah, me neither.
But at any rate, yeah. But yeah, Dan Curtis kept going with the horror shows, and then when the horror trend started dying out, he went into the war and remembrance, the war movies, and those were big deals too,
Yeah.
And then he came back with Dark Shadows in the early '90s, but that ended abruptly because of the Gulf War.
Yeah.
The people were watching the coverage of the Gulf War, and Dark Shadows, the reboot was on at the same time, and it killed it. So that was kind of like, the end of that. So. But and then that Dark Shadows movie that Tim Burton made, that was incredible.
I was so looking forward to that, and when I saw it, I'm like, wow, this
what
is
what is he thinking?
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
From a guy with all that talent, is that the best you can do? Yeah,
seriously.
But at any rate, so the Norliss Tapes. It's now the Trilogy of Terror, which was written by the same guy, William Nolan or whatever. That one had the one good episode with Karen Black.
Yeah. Well, all three of them were with Karen Black.
Yeah, but one of them was really good. The other two were average.
Yeah.
It was the same writer as, I believe, the Norliss Tapes, William Nolan or something like that.
William F. Nolan.
William Nolan.
Science fiction.
He wrote science fiction, right.
Then he did some war and Civil War. There was a time when, also in the 70s, the Civil War was big and interesting, and I was never into the Civil War, but
no, that's just a funny term, a civil war. Let's have a civil war. Let's not be too aggressive. Let's be civil. Yeah, okay, sure. Oops,
he also did screen treatment for Who Goes There, which became The Thing.
Yeah. William Nolan?
Yeah, William F. Nolan.
Okay. I heard this somewhere, again, maybe I'm wrong, but I believe that John Carpenter is doing either a sequel to The Thing from 1982 with Kurt Russell. I don't know why, but I mean, it's been 40 years, but I guess, okay, it's not I don't think it's gonna be better, but maybe it's something to do, I guess, if you get the money to do it or whatever, but I actually like that version of the movie just as good as the original.
Yeah. Well, it was an entirely different movie.
Entirely different, but it worked.
It worked. That's why I
The
like
effects were great.
The first Aliens movie, or Alien movie, was like a kind of like a horror movie in outer space. The second Alien movie was more like an action movie. So they kind of work because the two different styles of movies. But then after that, they kind of stink.
Yeah, I was going to say, what about the third Alien movie, which I never saw? Or the fourth one?
She's on a prison planet, and it's
Same thing with Indiana Jones. I only saw the first one. I didn't see Indiana Jones and the whatever. You know, I just gave up at the first one. I did see the two Aliens movies. I'm never a big one for sequels. You know, I did see the 3 Star Wars, and then after I saw the fourth one, I stopped because it was like,
Yeah, I don't know what happened.
I don't
either.
either.
The first 3 were great. Then, you know, I can't wait for the next one. And they come out, and you're like, that's it? Like, what?
Jar Jar Binks. That's all I got to say.
I don't know what. Well, you know, he was pandering to kids. And
yeah, sure.
I had the feeling of pandering rather than.
I thought that the third Star Wars movies had a feel of pandering too, with all the Ewoks and all that stuff. After the second one, you know, it was so great. You know, I was like, oh, really? But it was still good. But anyway, you know, that's a whole different. You know, that's a whole different ballpark
episode.
or whatever. Which, you know, anyway. Let's see, Dan Curtis. What else did he do? He did another nighttime thing, but I remember watching a few of them late at night, and I think they were in the summer. But it was like they were at 11:30 at night till like 1 in the morning or something like that.
Scream of the Wolf.
Scream of the Wolf, yeah. That was a TV movie.
Yeah, he did both Dark Shadow movies, TV movies.
No, they were theatrical.
They were theatrical, yeah.
They were good. The first one was good. The second one I've never seen. But I heard the second one was edited really badly, and I think they added footage and made it better. But the second one doesn't have, like, Jonathan Fred or anybody like that in it. It's the other guys. It's the second crew, the second cast or whatever. I don't know. Yeah, he did those. Those were, the first one was a real good movie, yeah.
He did both Trilogy of Terrors.
I didn't know there was a second one.
Yeah, apparently it wasn't as good.
Yeah, I wouldn't think so.
And it's I don't know. I don't think I ever watched it. Yeah,
no.
They did a bunch of sort of regular dramas.
Yeah, the war miniseries. And
he did Intruders. It's a 4-hour miniseries.
That I never saw.
About UFOs and aliens.
Oh, okay. Yeah, good career. Good. He was TV scary guy for a while there in the
Dead of Night. It was a anthology series.
I remember that. Yeah. I remember the episode, but I remember hearing about it.
Yeah. He did the movie Burnt Offering too, which was a weird.
That was the one with Karen Black and Oliver Reed, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that.
Just seeing that and going, man, that's a weird movie. I saw that with folks.
You saw it with your parents?
Yeah.
Oh, fun. In the drive-in?
Yeah, once in a while my mom would come and see a horror movie with us. Although I don't think she thought it was that bad a horror. Well, it wasn't that bad a horror movie. It was, you know, it could have been a TV movie. It wasn't really that bad. It was kind of along the same veins of that movie with Bette Davis and Joan Crawford.
What, Baby Jane?
Happy to Baby Jane, yeah. That kind of scariness, which wasn't really.
That was a creepy movie, but yeah.
It's creepy, but not really scary, you know.
Yeah, so Bette Davis was pretty scary in that white pancake makeup, though. But
yeah, she's pretty scary to begin with.
That was definitely a creepy movie, but disturbing, maybe.
Yeah.
You know, but yeah. When she feeds Joan Crawford that rat in the.
Yeah. And then it also feeds her a parakeet.
Yeah, that's great, huh? Yeah, fun stuff. Yeah, I don't know what else Dan Curtis did. He did plenty of stuff, but I mean, I'm not like a big expert on him. But I know he did. Burnt Offerings. I know he did the Star Trek, the Dark Shadows movie. What else did he? Did he do any other theatrical, or did he go straight to TV? I think he stayed in TV because it was like that's where his bread and butter was. You know, that's where like.
Dark Shadows, Frankenstein, Dr. Jekyll, Dracula, Night Stalker, the Night Stalker movies. Yeah, he stayed mostly in television.
Yeah, I'm going to look him up right now.
He did Me and the Kid, which was a comedy drama with Danny Aiello. Okay.
Comedy drama, wow, that sounds like not fun.
He did another one, Long Days of Summer. It's about like a family drama.
Okay. Well, that's, you know, his best stuff was his horror stuff, I think.
Yeah, horror and weird stuff.
Yeah. All right, well, we've got a special show coming up, but I don't know if it's going to show up before this or after this. It depends on if I'm ever going to, I will produce, it will be produced, but I'm having technical difficulties with it, but you'll find it at some point. You know, it's,
what you should do is do like they used to do in television. You put up a screen that says, technical difficulties, please stand by.
Yeah, you're not kidding, man.
And then, of course, in my family, anytime it said that, either me or my sister would get up and stand by the TV, and everybody would laugh.
Oh, really? That's pretty funny. Remember when it used to be like technical difficulties, and they would play some like lounge music or something?
Yes.
You know? We'll be right back.
Yeah.
Or they cut to a commercial or something. Oh yeah, I remember that. Or the movie breaks.
Yeah.
It's like, oh geez, you know, cut. Yeah. I mean, we're old enough to remember when they were actually showing live films as opposed to videotapes.
Yeah.
You know, on the Late Late Show, you know, they were actually projecting the film as you're watching it on television. You know, it was like, yeah, and it had like splices put in it so it could instantly cut to a commercial or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
You know. So, oh man, those were the days. We're kind of old, but you know, that's okay. Yeah. All right, well, that's it for today's show. We both enjoyed the Norliss Tapes. We'll be back in a couple of weeks. I'll pick one this time, and I don't know. I've been watching people review movies on YouTube, and it's like, you know, movies that they're not rare movies, they're not movies out of the blue, but it's like, I don't know. I've been watching people talk about movies, and I'm like, you know, maybe we should do this or that. I don't know. We'll see. Yeah. We'll see. There's a couple of monster things that I got in mind, so we'll see what happens.
Cool.
All right, man. So we'll be back in a couple of weeks. And Roddy, tell us what we should do. In the meantime,
watch more B-movies.